Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Continuing with the third ruku', ayah number 19. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. وَيَوْمَ يُحْشَرُ أَعْدَاءَ اللَّهِ إِلَى النَّارِ. On the day the enemies of Allah will be gathered to the fire, فَهُمْ يُوزَعُونَ, and they would be arranged in ranks. حَتَّى إِذَا مَا جَاءُوهَا, until when they reach it. شَهِدَ عَلَيْهِمْ سَمْعُهُمْ وَأَبْصَارُهُم وَجُلُودُهُم. Their ears, eyes, and skins would testify against them. بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, as to what they used to do. وَقَالُوا لِجُلُودِهِمْ لِمَ شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا, and they will say to their skins, why did you testify against us? قَالُوا أَنْطَقَنَا اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْطَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. They would respond, Allah, the one who enabled everything to speak, enabled us to speak as well. وَهُوَ خَلَقَكُمْ أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ, and He created you in the first time. وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ, and to Him you are being brought back. وَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَسْتَتِرُونَ, but you did not hide from yourselves. أَن يَشْهَدَ عَلَيْكُمْ سَمْعُكُمْ وَلَا أَبْصَارُكُمْ وَلَا جُلُودُكُمْ, assuming that your own ears, eyes, and skins would never testify against you. وَلَكِنْ ظَنَنْتُمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَعْلَمُ كَثِيرًا مِمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. In fact, you thought that Allah does not know most of what you do. You thought Allah wasn't concerned, Allah didn't care, Allah wasn't present or wasn't listening and didn't know what you were doing. وَذَلِكُمْ ظَنُّكُمُ الَّذِي ظَنَنْتُمْ بِرَبِّكُمْ, and that was your assumption that you assumed about your Rabb. It is not that they were rejecting Allah. It is not that they denied Him in terms of His existence, in terms of His creative ability, but in terms of His listening, in terms of His hearing and seeing everything that goes on, in terms of His concern for every individual's individual action. That is what is denied. That is what was outrightly denied, but that is something that may be practically denied, that we act as if He is not watching. أَرْدَاكُمْ and that has destroyed you. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ, so now you are heaped up bunch of losers. فَإِنْ يَصْبِرُوا فَالنَّارُ مَثْوًى لَهُمْ. So now even if they are patient, the fire is their only home. وَإِنْ يَسْتَعْتِبُوا, and if they ask to make amends, to make up for what they've done, فَمَا هُمْ مِنَ الْمُعْتَبِينَ, they will not be allowed to be of those who can do so. وَقَيَّدْنَا لَهُمْ قُرَنًا, and we had appointed intimate companions for them, either from the jinnats or human beings. فَزَيَّنُوا لَهُمْ, who decorated for them مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ, whatever they intended to do and whatever they had done before. That whatever they had done before, they looked at themselves and they were very proud of their past. They looked at themselves and they thought that they had achievements upon achievements upon achievements. And when they looked towards their future, they thought whatever they intended on doing, whatever they had planned on doing, was the best, was of the utmost necessity. وَحَقَّ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقَوْلِ, and the word of the sentence proved true against them. This is how self-deception works. This is how every single human being has a tendency to deceive themselves into thinking that the path they've taken is the best path. That what they have decided upon is the best, what they have done was the best action, what they are going to do is going to be the most, what is wrong with that is the fact that it is self-referential, that the justification for it comes from within, that there was never anything authentic, never anything external to that one person's thoughts, that one person's emotions, to verify, to authenticate. And it is that arrogance that is being criticized. Because one can argue that I wasn't even aware of this self-deception. I was thinking that this was beyond my level of consciousness. This was all happening unconsciously. But again, did you not have a significant lifetime to consider the importance of what your unconscious can lead for you to do, of what your internal world, your psychological dimension, what it's capable of, and how it leads you to all these different activities? So did you not get enough of a lifetime to recognize your own personality and its potential for self-deception, and how you were so blanketly reliant upon everything that came from within as the ultimate representation of truth, without looking to verify it externally as Allah would have you do? وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and those who disbelieved would say to their followers, لَا تَسْمَعُوا لِهَذَا الْقُرْآنِ, don't listen to this Qur'an, وَالْغَوْ فِيهِ, and make a lot of noise, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَغْلِبُونَ, so that you prevail. So they recognize that where their defeat is, what their lifestyle stands to suffer, it is the listening of this Qur'an. If people start listening to this Qur'an, if this Qur'an is given importance, if it is given that central position in the society, then we're done for. And so, make noise. Don't let anyone listen to it. Distract people from it. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَغْلِبُونَ, so that you prevail. Your victory is dependent upon taking people away from the Qur'an. And they've become more and more subtle in terms of how this is done. The greatest distraction from the Qur'an will be to make people consider religiously that them approaching is not called for. That their reading of the Qur'an is religiously forbidden. That them trying to understand the Qur'an is something that they shouldn't look to do. Or, better than that, is give them bits and pieces of it, make them think that what they're listening to is the Qur'an, and hide other parts of it. Or even beyond that, give them that particular interpretation that suits your vested interests, and hide the rest. So there are more ways of distracting people, creating noise and distracting people away from the Qur'an than we would just imagine. فَلَنُذِيقَنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا, and we will definitely make the disbelievers taste a severe punishment. وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّهُمْ أَسْوَأَ الَّذِي كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, and we will reward them for the worst of what they used to do. ذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ أَعْدَاءِ اللَّهِ النَّارِ, that is the reward of Allah's enemies, the hellfire. لَهُمْ فِيهَا دَارُ الْخُلْدِ, for them is an immortal, eternal home in it. جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يَجْحَدُونَ, that is their reward for their rejection of our ayat. Fair enough, you were self-deceived, but the ayat of Allah were in front of you to guide you in order to identify that self-deception and to treat yourself to come out of it. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and the disbelievers will say, رَبَّنَا أَرِنَا الَّذِينَ أَضَلَّانَا مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ, our Rabb, show us those of the jinns and human beings who misled us. نَجْعَلْهُمَا تَحْتَ أَقْدَامِنَا, we will trample them underneath our feet. لِيَكُونَا مِنَ الْأَسْفَلِينَ, so that they become of those that are the lowest. So those faculties within us that are guiding or leading this self-deception are the jinnats, and then it is those people who live by their standards and by their whispers in their life that become the misleaders within the society outside. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا, as opposed to these people and their depiction in Jahannam, are those who said, our Rabb is Allah, and then they remain steadfast on it. I.e., these are the people who would not take what the jinnat inspire within them in terms of thoughts and emotions, but they would resort to what Allah has told them. And Allah too inspires within human beings, but more verifiably what He reveals to His prophets. The knowledge that He has put out in the ayat of the world, that is to be resorted to, that is to be that is the verifiable source. And so acknowledging Allah as Rabb has multiple dimensions to it as to how it enacts itself in a person's life. ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا, and then they remain steadfast on it, that come what may, in consequence, that what is prevalent is not Rabbun Allah. The society, the immediate environment is Rabb this and Rabb that and Rabb everything. And so to singularly dedicate yourself to Allah as your Rabb would require a lot of commitment, would require a lot of steadfastness. تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ, angels will descend upon them. Those people who have this attitude. أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا, do not fear and do not grieve. That this attitude of steadfastness on Allah's rububiyyah, how it results in angelic experiences. And angelic experiences, obviously we won't have them to the level of how the prophets had them, but with respect to the tranquility that descends as a byproduct, that the tranquility of this state of not fearing and not grieving is a byproduct of spiritual pursuits. Again, it is not actively sought. This is not the reason why you become an abd of Allah. This is not why you give in to Rabbun Allah. You give in to Rabbun Allah because that's what Allah deserves. And that is the potential that we have. Because the more you pursue a religious end or a spiritual end for the immediate psychological benefit or physical benefit for that matter that it has to offer you, the more that defeats the purpose and the more that benefit is not received. As we saw in the example in Surah Ahzab, that Allah's promise did not come true when they were having to go through a lot of trials and tribulations and incredible amount of fear. Precisely this khawf is what the entire community was overwhelmed with. And at that point they're like, where did this khawf come from? Allah's promise has not fallen true. It is precisely when you make that the priority. I am not going for Allah, I'm going for the peace and tranquility that Allah will give me if I commit to this and this and that. That defeats the purpose. And it is in the nature of this peace and tranquility and this happiness, if you will, that the more you run after it, the more it evades you. And so their dedication to Rabbun Allah and the istiqamah upon it results in a secondary byproduct. That is that fear and that state of being relieved from fear and grief, at least at a spiritual level. There is the fear and grief at the psychological that still has to be contended with, that the spiritual can benefit in but not completely eradicate, as we learned with respect to Yaqub alayhi salam and the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam's own seerah. وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ, and celebrate the tidings of paradise. الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ, which you were promised. نَحْنُ أَوْلِيَاؤُكُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ, we are your friends in the life of this world and in the hereafter. They are awliya of Allah. Allah is their wali and the angels are their wali. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ, for you is whatever you need in there in terms of the hereafter. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَدَّعُونَ, and for you is whatever you ask for. There are your needs and then there are your wants. Everything you need accounted for, available. And then everything you want also made available to you. Nuzulam min ghafurir rahim. This is just the initial entertainment. This is just the welcome that you will get from a Rabb who is extremely forgiving and perpetually merciful. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا, and who is better in speech, مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ, than the one who calls towards Allah. That now your tawheed manifests itself in terms of you embodying this role of calling people towards Allah, as the Messenger ﷺ did. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, and those calling towards Allah, the greatest enemy of their da'wah is their own action. And so to primarily lead with their own example and their role model, that they live what they practice, they put forward what is demanded from the people in their own personalities. وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and say, I am one of those who submit before Allah, i.e. do not adopt for yourself an identity distinct from Islam. Recognize yourself to be in continuity with the legacy, with the tradition of all the prophets. وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ, and the good and the bad are not the same. They're not alike. إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, so retaliate that which is evil with that which is better, with something that is better. So initially, specifically in Mecca, those retaliating or those responding to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with abuses, with torture, and it is in the face of that that the Messenger ﷺ and the Sahaba are being exhorted to put on their best behavior, to give them chances and be tolerant towards their utmost stubbornness, and see how that changes their attitude. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ, that as a result, the one between you and whom there was an enmity, كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ, would become a very close friend. That before going on to any of the other retaliations and taking revenge and being physical or what have you, before any of that is resorted to, an opportunity has to be given to win them over with love. That to genuinely show that this is not a conflict of interests, that this is not a rivalry, an envy, that we just want to displace you and become rulers in your place. No. That we are envious of the authority that you have and of what you command as a consequence with respect to your resources and everything, and we just want you to displace you, and so we can have all of that. No, this is not a slave morality. This is not the lower tiers of the society looking to retaliate against their rulers and to displace them. No, they have this love for them. And this genuine love that even sees potential despite the hatred and evil that they hurl at them, that they're able to take it. And they're able to say that we're not going to let our emotions get the better of us. And we're going to hold on to what the call we have to give by giving you a fair chance, by letting you see our dedication, our commitment, by how we forgive, by how we do good despite your insolence, despite your evil. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. It may well be that such a person becomes a very close friend. وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا. And none will be able to attain this quality except those who patiently persevere. That the endurance that is necessary, the self-control that is necessary to not retaliate. When retaliation comes as a reflex, when somebody abuses you, you want to abuse back. When somebody puts you down, you want to let them have it. But to be able to contain that part of yourself and to show what spiritual growth is capable of, that's what the world needs to see. And if you're reflexive creatures, if you're instinctual creatures, then how are you any better than the people that you're looking to criticize, than the people that you're saying have devoured the resources and exploited humanity, until you reach that level yourself. And this is the process through which you have to come, because religiosity can very well be a source of envy, a source of manifesting your envy against other people, asserting your authority over other people. And this is the way to tame that. وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ وَإِمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ. And even then, if a whisper from shaitan tempts you, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, seek the refuge of Allah. The Messenger ﷺ is being addressed in the singular. That in such a situation, such a sensitive situation, where your integrity, where your honor is going to be attacked by the people, that you hold on to this path of sabr, this path of retaliating with that which is good. That you require the help of Allah to do so. You require the protection of Allah. إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. He is definitely hearing and knowing. Recognize that this is a default, that this will happen. That when you take up the call, when you try to do any good and ask others to do good, then you are not going to be showered with roses. You will be treated in contempt. And then you will experience impulses from within to retaliate. It is almost a necessity. It's part of the package. Expect it. And it'll come as being completely justified religiously. That you will feel that you have the religious moral authority to lash back at the other people. And the Messenger ﷺ, his role model is placed up front, that Ya Rasulullah, you seek refuge from Allah, in Allah, from shaitan. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, and of Allah's signs are اللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارُ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ, the night, the day, the sun and the moon. لَا تَسْجُدُوا لِلشَّمْسِ وَلَا لِلْقَمَرِ, do not prostrate before the sun nor before the moon. وَاسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ الَّذِي خَلَقَهُنْ, but prostrate before Allah. Perform sajda before Allah, the one who created them. In kuntum iyahu ta'budun, if it is really Him alone whom you intend to worship, whom you intend to do ibadah of. فَإِنِ اسْتَكْبَرُوا, but if they are too arrogant, فَالَّذِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ يُسَبِّحُونَ لَهُ بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, then those who are close to your Rabb, they glorify Him day and night. وَهُمْ لَا يَسْأَمُونَ, and that لَا يَخْفُونَ عَلَيْنَا, they are not hidden from us. أَفَمَنْ يُلْقَى فِي النَّارِ خَيْرٌ, so is the one cast into the fire better? أَمَّن يَأْتِي آمِنًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, or he the one who becomes secure, tranquil on the day of judgment. اعْمَلُوا مَا شِئْتُمْ, so do whatever you want to. You have the freedom to do so. إِنَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ, He is watching all of what you do. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِالذِّكْرِ لَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ, and those who refuse to believe in this reminder, this dhikr, the Qur'an that is being sent, when it has come to them, وَإِنَّهُ لَكِتَابٌ عَزِيزٌ, when it is a mighty book, a book that is inimitable, resistant to attack, which is protected, that if you look to benefit from it, then you will be able to do so. It has that capacity within it. No matter how much ilhad has been done in the ayat of Allah, in the way people are representing it, if somebody is genuinely interested and is willing to struggle, then the kitab it has that izzah, it has that strength to resist corruption, to resist all kinds of deviation. لا يأتيه الباطل من بين يديه ولا من خلفه, falsehood cannot approach it, neither from before it nor from behind it. That nothing in front of it can nullify what it carries within it. The book is going to be its own protector, provided the attitude of the people is correct towards it. For we learned in the very beginning that يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرٌ, and it is through this book people can get misled as well. But it's fisq that leads for them to be misled through this book. But if you have that proper attitude, that it has all it takes for the guidance of a human being. Tanzilu min hakimin hamid, this is the revelation from a wise and praiseworthy Rabb. ما يقال لك إلا ما قد قيل للرسل من قبلك, nothing is being said to you other than what has already been said to the messengers before you. إن ربك لذو مغفرة وذو عقاب أليم, that definitely your Rabb is the Rabb of forgiveness, is the one owner of forgiveness and the owner of painful retribution. He balances this within Himself, and so let your iman in Him balance this in your personality. وَلَوْ جَعَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا أَعْجَمِيًّا, had we made this a foreign Qur'an, i.e. in a language other than Arabic, لَقَالُوا, then they would have definitely said, لَوْلَا فُصِّلَتْ آيَاتُهُ, why was its ayat not explained in detail? أَعْجَمِيُّ وَعَرَبِي, a foreign Qur'an and an Arab prophet. قُلْ هُوَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا هُدًى وَشِفَاء, tell them, Ya Rasulullah, that this is a source of guidance and healing for believers across the board. That iman, regardless of your nationality or understanding of the language, it offers this for the people, the guidance and healing. وَالَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ فِي آذَانِهِمْ وَقْرٌ, and those who do not believe, in their eyes is a deafness. What language is primarily necessary to benefit from the Qur'an is the language of iman. Before anything else. Before anything else. It is that attitude, that openness to the ayat of Allah that leads for one to benefit from it, gain guidance and shifa. Guidance to the path, what has to be practically done, and shifa against internal diseases that hold you back from the path. that those diseases of self-deception and arrogance, وَهُوَ عَلَيْهِمْ عَمَى, and it is a blindness over those who don't believe. أُولَٰئِكَ يُنَادَوْنَ مِن مَكَانٍ بَعِيدٍ, and it appears that they are being called off from a far off place, that this Qur'an is out of reach. For those who don't have this attitude of Iman, this openness to the ayat of Allah, for them this Qur'an is so obscure, so foreign. It doesn't make sense. وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابِ, and we blessed Musa with the scripture, فَاخْتُلِفَ فِيهِ, but it came under disagreement. وَلَوْلَا كَلِمَةٌ سَبَقَتْ مِنْ رَبِّكَ, and had it not been for a word decreed from your Rabb already, لَقُضِيَ بَيْنَهُم, a decisive judgment would have been made among them once and for all. وَإِنَّهُمْ لَفِي شَكٍّ مِّنْهُ مُرِيبٍ, and they are really in an alarming state of doubt about it. That the kitab, and we will see this in more detail in the next surah, that when Musa alayhi salam had the kitab, well and good, he's there to explain it, he is the final authority. But once he passes away, the kitab is still with the people of Bani Israel. They are still to use it to get guidance and everything. But then people take portions and leave portions. And when that happens, ikhtilaf prevails. And when there is an ikhtilaf in the scholars of the book, then the regular Joes on the street, they're going to be utterly confused. And they're going to fall back on that confusion. See, you guys make up your minds and then tell us what it is that we have to do. And the very authenticity and truthfulness of the book comes under doubt. Is it really from Allah? If there is so much confusion as to what it's saying and what it should be like and what we're supposed to do with it. But it is the arrogance of the people that was projected, the deviation of the people that was projected onto the book of Allah. It wasn't the book of Allah that led for that to take place. مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلِنَفْسِهِ, whoever performs righteously does so for himself. So if you're going to refuse and not follow what the book is giving you, in the clarity and the priorities that it presents, then you're doing it to your own loss. وَمَنْ أَسَأَ فَعَلَيْهَا, whoever goes wrong does so against himself. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدٍ, and your Rabb is never unjust to his ibad. إِلَيْهِ يُرَدُّ عِلْمُ السَّاعَةِ, the knowledge of the hour solely rests with him. وَمَا تَخْرُجُ مِنْ ثَمَرَاتٍ مِنْ أَكْمَامِهَا, and no fruit emerges from its coverings. وَمَا تَحْمِلُ مِنْ أُنْثَى وَلَا تَضَعُ, nor does a female conceives or gives birth, any female, not just human females, but all females, whether human or animal or plant, إِلَّا بِعِلْمِهِ, except that it is in his knowledge. وَيَوْمَ يُنَادِيهِمْ أَيْنَ شُرَكَائِي, and the day he will call to them, where